Um, how did Montessori's observations change her ideas about the education of young children? Her observations made her realize that all children want to learn and have a natural curiosity. Her observations allowed her to keep all the children interested and find a best way to have the children teach themselves. Um, Her observations also helped her create a student-facilitated classroom without taking away from the children's education. So all the materials were for the children, um, and nothing was really teacher-led. It was all what the children wanted to learn at that time. And when they were done with it, they just put it away. It was all at their own height. They didn't need any assistance doing pretty much anything. What are the benefits and limitations of her methodology? The benefits of her methodology is it gives a chance for the children to work through their own problems and not to be spoon-fed any kind of information. All the children come up with their own concepts and figure everything out on their own. It also lets the children feel like they accomplished something. The children can find out the problem of whatever they're working with. Like it had in the text, it said there's blocks with the different cylinders. Some have to be longer, some have to be wider. So the children have to find out what the problem is and then work through the problem on their own. So they're not given the problem and they have to work through it or given the answer or anything. It's all led by the child. I think her limitations are, it didn't really say in the text, but I feel like after all the children work through certain objects, I feel like they get bored with it, and there's not like a huge selection of those Montessori approved materials for the children to look at or like go through. Like once they reach a certain one, they're done with that object for good, or like that one thing for good, and then they're like, well, I accomplished that one and that one. What are they going to do now? Describe what Montessori learned while observing children using the sensory materials she designed. Using the materials that she designed, the children got to learn different concepts, not just like colors and let's learn the alphabet, but they got to learn like length and color, all by doing it hands-on. And they learned what temperature were at like the age of like 2 and 3. They didn't need to be taught like this is how, like a thermometer, this is how we use it. The child figured that all out on their own. And each material is focused on one quality, so the child's not getting overwhelmed with this is texture, color, everything. It's just focused on one quality. How did this observation change the way Montessori's teachers taught reading? I really like the way that she kind of taught reading because it was different. She first starts the children with these like blocks that have like sandpaper on them, and the child has to like trace it the way that you would normally write it, while the teacher is saying the sound and the child's repeating the sound. And so like the child learns the sounds before they actually know what the letters are. So they just know what sounds go with that symbol pretty much. And then the child can start putting words together without actually knowing that they're doing it, because they're just seeing the letter or the symbol and they're saying the sounds, and they can kind of blend them together. So it's kind of like blending and segmenting, which I thought was also really cool. Or then the child can or is given a word, like they use bed, and the child has to go b, d, which is also blending and segmenting, but they don't know it's bed. They just know that symbol makes b sound. Have you seen any examples of sensory learning in your observations? I actually did. I found one of the teachers I was working with, they were working on sounds like blending, segmenting, and like phonemic awareness. So each kid had like this little like pencil box, and they had like just one color sand in it, like blue, green, whatever. And while they're learning the letters, like the teacher would say the letter, and everyone would go A, and then they would draw it in the sand either with like a pencil or their finger if they couldn't hold a pencil very well. And they were still like getting the movement of it, kind of like the tracing would, but like they weren't doing it just on a piece of paper over and over and over again. They got to use like an actual material, which kept the kids really engaged. And then they could just like wipe it away. So it was really cool. They were all just like A, and then go ah. And they were doing uppercase and lowercase letters. So I felt like that was a good way to keep the kids involved, and the teacher could just like walk around and make sure all the kids aren't just like doodling in the sand. So yeah.